Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, I want to share 3 miracles that were sent in to me by email from 3 subscribers. At the suggestion of another subscriber, recently I did a call out for any blessings, miracles, or privileges that you may have experienced since this last general conference because of President Nelson's talk where he said that we would have more of those between now and when Christ comes again. But it's okay to send you know experiences that you've had from before that time. These are all good faith promoting things. Just make sure not to send anything that's too personal or too sacred in nature. If you do, I will not read it on the channel. But um but please feel free to send in appropriate uh, faith promoting stories that you've experienced. So this first one is from Beth Jukes. Just like last time, I copied and pasted this into a Google uh, document so as to, make it so that you don't see the email address of the person sending the story. Okay, so Beth Jukes, she says, "Hi Jared, I wanted to take a moment to share a couple of miracles with you. My father was diagnosed with leukemia in 2020. He got really sick. My family was living in Utah at the time, and we made preparations to move back to my home state of Kentucky so we could be there to help. My nephew gave him a priesthood blessing, telling him that he would be healed and live to do something he had prepared his whole life for. In August 2021, I was diagnosed with leukemia. I was incredibly blessed to receive that news while living close to my family. I had a whole laundry list of reasons I wasn't ready to go. It was really a wake up call. I still struggle with this illness, but I've been so blessed to throw myself into church service and scripture study. My testimony has grown so much in the last year. My relationship with God and Jesus Christ has never been stronger. I reached remission almost a year to the date of my diagnosis. I still have to do treatments, but my life is being saved. Both of these things are miracles to me. A few days ago, I was having a rough day and I was laying prostrate on my living room floor praying. I was praying for relief of my pain. I was praying for our young women and their struggles. I serve in the young women's program. And I was praying for the Lord's return. In my prayer, I said, "Lord, when? When will you return? How long will you make us wait?" I had the very distinct thought come to me: soon, Beth. I will return very soon. I think of that event often, and I'm always filled with excitement. I'm ready now. Beth, you and me and everybody on this channel, everyone that's living righteously, we're all ready for it, and I do think it's very soon. Even if it is, a few years from now, you know, I'd be good with that. I just want it to happen in my lifetime, but I do think that it's very soon. I'm very happy to hear of the remission, so congratulations on that. And that definitely was a blessing and a miracle. And I just want to point out, I mean, I don't know because I don't know if there's more details to the story or maybe things will play out a little bit more, but having all the family get together, this seems to be kind of like I feel like it's so far. Um, with some of these miracles and people I've been talking to that this is kind of like a theme. It feels like the Lord is drawing families together, families that are separated by miles, by uh, states apart, countries apart. So I don't know. I just want to point that out. That's very interesting. But thank you, Beth, for the story. Appreciate it. The next one is from Janet Carlson. She says, "I work in a temple on Friday mornings. When COVID hit and everything was shutting down, the message came out late Thursday. However, it said nothing about the temples. We made tons of phone calls to see if, or sorry, we made tons of phone calls to see if we were open or not. We were told we were staying open both Friday and Saturday. We had maybe a handful of patrons only. I always have a feeling of joy at the temple. However, that day, I had this feeling of tears being shed on the other side for those that would have had their work done that day. I've never seen or heard people from the other side, but you can sure feel their spirits. Once the temple reopened, I started praying the night before that I could be in a position to help someone at the temple during my shift. You can't imagine how often it happens. I also have seen other such miracles with other temple workers and patrons. Patrons often share their stories with us, and it seems like the worker they share it with had the same experience: deaths, divorce, etc. We have learned that there are no coincidences at the temple. God's hand is in the details. 1 year ago, my husband almost died. He spent 5 days in the ICU. Miracles happened. One, changes were made for priesthood blessing to be done by just the chaplain, if they held the priesthood, to do the blessing by himself. So, of course, we requested one. Other than the doctors and nurses, I was the only one allowed in his room. Two, most people die within 6 days of the illness my husband had. C. diff. I don't know what that is. He went to the ER and they just sent him home till they got labs back. That took over 1 week. By then, I ended up calling 911, and he ended up admitted to the ICU in a different city an hour away, as all ICU beds were filled in Salt Lake County. And he was lucky to even be in that hospital, as it was their last ICU bed. They had hospitals even in other states calling to see if ICU beds were available. So he had it for at least 2 to 3 weeks and another month of recovering at home. He had visions of spirit prison. He saw people he knew either being taught or doing missionary work there, Satan, and the celestial kingdom. Miracles happen around us every day. We sometimes just don't pay attention to them. We just need eyes to see and ears to hear. Wow, that is incredible. Not that I want to go through um, the near death part of a near death experience, but I sure would like to have those experiences and just take a peek and just kind of see what's going on over there and see it for myself. But that is incredible. Now, what did she say? Most people die within 6 days, and then the labs took over a week. So that's that. That is a terrifying ride right there. That is a terrifying 6 days as you're waiting for labs that are just not coming back. Wow. Well, I'm glad that he's okay and that he recovered, and I'm glad that you get to work in the temple. I hope that I get to do that. I'll be able to do that at some point. Um, it's not really practical right now because, again, I live 2.5 hours away. But yeah, and plus I'm working full time. But anyway, thank you, Janet Carlson, for sending your experiences here. Okay, the next one, anonymous. Some of my miracles of 2022. Number one, lost my job due to continual attacks from immoral men. They tested my resolve to be true, and I proved a pattern. And I proved a pattern of harassment and false reports in a court of appeals, which provided condemning violations of top administrators. However, with no lawyer for my defense or to offer accountability, it was dismissed and brushed under the rug. I had hoped that there would be enough integrity that a lawyer would be unnecessary. After I was brushed away, I was set to get a lawyer and follow through with a second appeal. However, I prayed to know the proper course, and President Nelson just gave his talk on seeking peaceful resolutions. I realized that with me home, our family actually made/saved more money because a nanny in a rural area is expensive and inconsistent, and my wife worked from home. So I decided to let God prevail and count on my many blessings. Though I asked for an investigation and the state is required to investigate my situation, they did not, and I retained all my credentials. This is interesting, Anonymous, because, sorry, I don't want to put the spotlight on me, but I can feel for you in this situation and also kind of rejoice with you because recently, like I've said a couple times on the channel, my van got totaled. It was a relatively new van. It was a 2016. First, we had leased it, and I know that's not always the smartest thing to do, but that's what it was right for us at the time. And then we ended up buying it. Um, I know, I know. Okay, but we prayed. So it was a good, reliable van. We used it for a lot of things. We really got our money's worth out of it, I feel. Um, and then, at this time moving here, we got it back in Arizona, and then it carried us through all the way to here, Kansas. We've had it here. And then just now, we hit a deer and it totaled the van because the airbags deployed. And I guess when that happens, I guess it's like really expensive to replace them or whatever. So usually, in most cases, they just can consider the vehicle totaled, and that's what happened with our insurance. So um, at first, I was like, "Oh my gosh," because we have another car, thankfully, but it's getting kind of old, and I was just like, I had other plans for this van. It was supposed to last for a long time. We were really staying on top of the maintenance. We had just got some things serviced on it and got some new tires. So I was like, oh my gosh. But it took me through this process where to get back up on my feet, I did what we usually do. We went to a dealership, this time a used car dealership, and I was looking at that Mercury Mountaineer that somebody warned me about in an email, and through a process, just a string of events that I'm not going to go into all the details. We went from that to settling on this van that we got right now, and we bought it with cash, um, and now we are saving money. We're saving money. We're saving money because now we actually own the car. It was only a couple $1,000s, which is fine. We'll just buy a new car when the time comes. And now we have the minimal insurance because there's nothing to insure with this car. It's a piece of crap. And if something happens to it, we'll just get a new car. That's all it comes down to. And we changed over the insurance today, and we're paying like $100 less than what we did before. And we still have like the necessary insurance. We also have insurance for if we get injured as well. But that's it. We haven't insured like any damages on the car. And it's saving us money. It's like so surreal to get a new car and not add another car payment. So I feel like it was actually a blessing that we hit that deer. Not only that, but the insurance company, they paid $11,000 toward our loan. We still owe like about $4,000 more, which isn't a big deal. And so we're going to get that paid off a lot sooner. And once that's paid off, that's going to save us another like $350. Actually, I think it's like 380. I don't know. My wife does most of the finances. But so anyway, okay, so going back to you, with you actually making slash saving more money, I don't know. It seems like we have a common thing in this. Maybe the second coming won't be for a few more years, and maybe it's going to be important to save money, not have debt. But at the same time, it could still happen. I don't know. But whatever the case, both you and me are now saving money, and that's a good feeling, and it's good. We should all try and get out of debt. Okay, number two, my grandfather died due to a virus. However, he wanted to go, and this brought all in our family together except one of my four brothers, and one sister. This will make sense after reading the following miracles. Well, it already makes sense because that's the common theme. It seems like um, the most common denominator, I think, with a lot of these miracles is family getting together. And I tend to think that it's like a last preparation um, before the second coming. That's just my opinion. Okay, number three, my eldest brother died. I was in Twin Falls, Idaho, as a delegate for my county when I received a call stating that my eldest brother had gone missing. I knew my brother struggled with depression and had made a previous attempt to harm himself before he realized his situation and checked himself in for help and had been diligent in self care since then. A month or so previous to this, my brother was admitted to a hospital due to an apparent disruption in the heart. However, the cardiologist stated his heart was in perfect heart health and could not explain what had happened. I visited him with my children and we spent a Sunday evening with him, and he seemed happy and content. I had left Twin Falls and spent the following 3 days driving through every mountain, canyon, and trail in the Uinta Mountains, as this was the last cell phone signal and his favorite location and part of his self help plan. After a few days, one of my brothers found our eldest brother's truck. He showed me his dash camera footage, and it was extremely emotional for my brother to be prompted to go down the particular trail, find the truck, see no sign of our eldest brother, and then cry out in deep emotion. A search team was assembled, helicopter, search dogs, everything, and no luck on the initial search. In the second search, we found my brother. His best friend was next to me, and he saw him and started unraveling a tarp. I assisted and covered my brother. His body looked to be in the attitude of prayer. As soon as he was covered, I looked for the eldest brother's three sons. His eldest came over the hill and saw me, then looked at the tarp, and we embraced and cried. He thanked me for being there. We composed ourselves and found the other two sons and put our arms around one another's shoulders. And with our heads bowed, I offered a prayer of gratitude, this being a spiritual moment for all of us. And they, not being active, very special moment. At base camp, those who were there stated they heard a great shout of joy and celebration and had believed it came from heaven as the search party was way too far to be heard. Although if they rejoiced, it might as well be from heaven. Wow. You know, it's a pretty well-known fact that these big life transitions, especially death, it can prompt those around them to like really consider life and the meaning of life. And with the sons not being active, I just wonder what kind of effect that may have had on them. But I'm glad that they found him. And okay, number 4, opportunity to talk to my eldest brother's eldest son about the oath and covenant of the priesthood. I and my eldest brother's eldest son, who just had a baby and started going to church, went searching toward a particular area that a very clairvoyant family friend suggested. He stated that his father was going to bless his baby. I suggested that he work with his bishop and stake president to prepare for the temple and Melchizedek priesthood and bless his child. He agreed. Great. Number 5, autopsy and funeral. We learned from the autopsy that there was no sign of self-harm or toxins in the body. He died from a combination of an anomaly in the heart and hypothermia. I know his work required him to participate in AI recommendations of pre-treatment, and this particular treatment brand had been recalled in many areas. However, the producers are uniquely immune from any negative outcome of their product. Learning that he did not die from suicide was a relief. And we also learned of undiagnosed hereditary issues. The pancreas, and now all of us siblings are using that information to be checked on with our doctors. Okay, number 6, funeral. At his funeral, we officially were all gathered together, even our one brother who had been isolating himself from us for years came, and it was a joyful reunion. An emeritus 70 spoke at the funeral, and for many, it was their first time back in a church in a very long time. Most were blessed to see my eldest brother at our grandfather's funeral. And since my brother and grandfather's deaths, our temple and genealogy work has increased significantly. And if I were still employed, I would not have the same opportunity to search and see family, as that job in law enforcement occupied nearly all my time. Sorry this was long. Thank you for everything you do. Well, thank you, Anonymous. You guys, I feel certain that Heavenly Father is doing something right now with families, with these reunions. And it seems like almost like in every case that there are members in the family that are not members of the church, or they've gone inactive, or whatever the case may be. Um, this is, I'm sorry for both of your losses, but it's a beautiful thing to see maybe what's come out of this, and we may not know the full impact yet, because it could take time. But I don't know. This is just amazing. All three of these are amazing. I'm sure that there's so many more people having similar experiences, and that miracles are happening all the time. And it's the best. It's the best, you know. And I'm sure that you'll see your brother soon in resurrected form. That's my hope and prayer. All right, well, that's going to be it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for sending these in. Feel free, anybody else, to send in your miracles, especially any miracles that have happened recently, any miracles, blessings, or privileges. I really want to see those, but anything is fine. Feel free to send it in. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.